So excited, man. Can't wait to log in to do dailies. I need, 1,000 more arcane symbols to max out. Okay, let's go in, choose channels. Yep, that's me. I am unfortunately addicted to Maplestory. But I think it's totally reasonable, right? Since I am reviewing the game.
No!
What's up everyone, my name is Marcus, welcome to my channel, and as you can see, I make videos about video games, animes, movies, or any digital media outlet that I myself enjoy, or sometimes things that I really hate.
Please don't shoot. Joel, please get up.
But to all of this to bring you guys an honest and unfiltered review on the entertainment industry today, right now. Online. And it happens to be that Maplestory is a gaming title that I myself have been wanting to make a video on for such a long time now. I think I've delayed this project for about, 6 months. I was drawn to the game at a very young age, but it took me almost 15 years to actually know how the game works and not mindlessly spending money on the game that really requires you to grind. So I thought to myself, maybe if I spend my efforts and time and actually learning how to play the game, I wouldn't really know why I actually wanted to play Maplestory in the first place. So after spending a whopping 1,367 hours of serious gameplay, I have honestly had mixed feelings about the game. For a game to be this old but still have a decent amount of players, well, mostly people just playing because reboot server is still up. But then a question still remains as I spend time writing this whole script out: is this game still worth playing right now after 20 years now? Because I am 26 right now and the game, well, yeah. Growing up, I started to realize most gaming titles, most of them have somewhat of a story, or lore that developers, directors want us gamers to ever so slightly acknowledge as we spend time on the game itself. So for the purpose of this video, I would like to introduce you guys to a term called Gamers Resonance. Now the reason I say this is because stories actually gives us the backbone of what the game is, so that as we quote-unquote gamers play, we actually have a reason, to play the game. And then, during the gameplay, the narrative, plot, soundtracks, or whatever it is that these gaming directors have put in their game will end up resonate with us as gamers. You see the wordplay?
Shut your bitch ass up.
Those things will sit with us for a long time, and for some of us, maybe even for our entire childhood. I think just like similar to how a lot of gamers grow up with titles like Mario and Peach, Ash and Pikachu, Kratos, God of War, Mega Man, the rocket launcher guy, Crash the Bandicoot, or even Joel and Ellie. Now the gamer's resonance will work best if you actually have a heavy story-driven aspects in the game, and if the plot of the story is actually good. But for Maplestory, to be honest, the whole story of you being the adversary is what they called it, and being one of the heroes to beat Black Mage alongside with your waifu sickness pretty much meet the standard for an MMORPG game. For most Maplestory gamers, no one really expects Maplestory to have that oomph, that in a story mode, because at the end of the day, it is an MMORPG title. But here's the turning point. A lot of these gaming titles that I mentioned, despite having such a story-heavy driven gameplay, or even mechanically based gameplay, all of them, from being a AAA title to being super simple indie game, all have one thing in common that you might not have guessed. It's actually something like really small. I will summarize it for you in 3 words: skippable story mode. Yep, Maplestory does not allow you to skip through 90% of its story quests. Very recently, a YouTuber, as I research for my script, named Golden All. You should totally check him out. He used to be a game designer himself, so some of his videos are really educational and really legit. But anyways, he made a really relatable video about this, and he actually really dissect the fact that why some games might not have a skip option for certain parts in the game, whether it is because of technical limitations for some games, one of them being Pokemon Leaf Green or Fire Red. Oh, by the way, these are two of my most favorite Pokemon titles back in the day. I'm glad he mentioned that because despite having, unskippable dialogues, right, as you play Pokemon Leaf Green or Fire Red or even Heart Gold, you can't really skip it, unless you spam the button on your Game Boy. But there's a purpose behind that. The developers have created a rivalry for us gamers who are usually decently competitive, I would say, to battle against Blue Oak, or aka Green. Now, as you can see, what Game Freak is doing with Pokemon is basically here. Okay, repeat after me. Nexon, you better pay attention to this. Creating a narrative. But yes, a narrative that ties to the game so that towards the end of the game, after you facing the Elite Four, you will facing Green again. So you see what is happening? Well, that's how unskippable dialogues does its job. But for Maplestory, let me ask you, why do you play the game? Or you know what? Let's just ask the community. Oh, awesome. Somebody already asked the question. Okay, the core gameplay loop is very satisfying. Bounce around and kill countless enemies in one hit. It's my chill game that I can log in for like 20-30 minutes, vibe out without any stress, right? Okay, music, art, chill gameplay, challenging bossing. Finally create a progression timeline that is digestible for most part. For the glory of Kaiser. Oh, okay, addiction. Wow. So as you can see, great gameplay, right? Great events, great progression-based, challenging bossing, playstyle independency, and absolutely nobody in their mind is playing Maplestory for the story. The nature of an MMORPG has definitely been mentioned by some of these Maplestory players. Most of the time, people are not playing these types of games for the story mode. When you have already done such a great job with different aspects of gameplay that satisfy the player base this much, how hard could it be to add one simple line of code to enhance the gaming experience? Maybe 1,000 times or more for players. Actually, on a recent update, if you play Maplestory, there's an update called Dark Ride or something. It's exclusive for GMS. So if you are players from KMS or any Maplestory private servers, I'm sorry. You might have seen Nexon have taken into account the boss's cutscenes, having an option for players to skip it. You know what? This update is one of the best things that happened in my life. No kidding. Undoubtedly one of the best quality of life changes by far made by Nexon, and every single player agrees with it. But on a serious note though, I do feel like Nexon directors did pour their hearts out into the lower part of the game with, again, Waifu Sickness, Black Mage, or exclusive characters. Back in the day, it was Beast Tamers and Zero. I actually kind of enjoy the story and so many different classes with different backgrounds, with the hope that it all ties together and help players resonate with an intriguing story experience of this RPG environment called Maple World. And I think you gotta give credits when it's due. So with the state of the game right now, I think there are already certain quests, if I'm not wrong, that you can skip. But sadly, not all quest lines are skippable until this day. And actually, most still requires you sitting there hours on end, coding the NPC interaction key until you... What is even worse is that the major population of Maplestory are players who spend their time playing the game for what MMORPGs are supposed to be. They want the most out of their progression, gambling their way up the charts with their equipment, progressing through different bosses as they reach certain milestone in the game. This is Maplestory. Nexon, this is what joy looks like for us, for the gamers. Like, don't you care about us?
No.
Personally, I think I might ruffle some feathers with this, but for me, pre-Big Bang gameplay was, besides the socializing fun, killing Zakum with your guildies, and sometimes hennehoing, everything else was really like, old game engine that crashes every now and then, clunky character designs. Though pre-Big Bang was something that I think for a lot of the Maple OGs will remember because of the endless grinding of party quests. Like you have a lot of fun in those times. People create memories. A lot of Maplers around the 2000 created their best memories here and move on with their lives afterwards as they quit Maplestory, while others still plays the game till this day. And the ones that stick around are the ones that got to experience what I call fragment story. Comparing the pre-Big Bang Maple to 2025 Maplestory, a lot has changed. Okay, I know it looks like there's no changes, Here you go, look. Nowadays, with how grindy and addictive this game is, this little bluish pixel that you may see every now and then that get dropped by mobs in around level 260 mob area, the game has become an absolute game changer for Maplers. And what I mean by that is 22 starring your equipment or maxing out your symbols are now not the only thing that you have to worry about, because something that's worth your time even more now is farming soul earth fragments. Based on the statistics, it is calculated to be if Maplers spend at least 1 hour of farming in a day, of course with full 200% drop rate and 100% meso drop rate, you are guaranteed to get around 600 million meso per hour and roughly averaging 16 fragments an hour. And then these fragments will be used to enhance your hexa skills, which will ultimately offer a huge power spike throughout your solo bossing session or party bossing respectively. And for many Maplers, having a spike in power, like who wouldn't want that? Especially with how the game is progressed based off of bosses from early game to mid game to end game. And as I have mentioned, equipments can be destroyed, or sometimes you just drop it by accident, but fragments, they stay with you forever. So that explains why you see some of these hardcore Maplers have multiple setups to support their grinding session. So you probably can see already, Nexon has came up with a means for players to secure their gains. And also, not to mention, as your character grows with hexa power, so does gameplay become more enjoyable. Though, what is the cost to all of this? Having zero progression in your work or study, spending hours or maybe days stacking up fragments while your family is probably paying your bills, your wife doing all the housework, while you're just sitting there with your backpack and your wealth potions. Nice. On a serious note though, this new gen gameplay, despite sucking away a person's life, the gameplay mechanics are still surprisingly fun for a 20-year-old game. One of the highlights for me is definitely bossing. As a Souls fan, I love Dark Souls. I 100% achieved it on PlayStation 4. And I love Sekiro Shadow Die Twice. I love every single Souls title that has been released. Personally, I thought the bossing mechanics of Maplestory pretty much equally identical. In most Souls games, what has been really successful is that even though some bosses will really test your skills and ability, or what they call it as your hands, the game did such a good job of putting players through a roller coaster of emotions, which then will conclude in a satisfying feeling, that is, if they clear the boss. Similarly, in Maplestory, bosses also requires players to really know the mechanic, and as Maplers progress through the game, a lot of times they find themselves have to really learn and know the mechanics of each boss in order to clear them. While in Dark Souls, bosses give you souls that you can upgrade your character. Now the difference here is bosses in Maplestory held a lot of really valuable loots that you might need to be able to progress in the game. Otherwise, your character might be stuck in terms of equipment progressions, or you will end up missing out on content in whichever state that you're currently at in the game. Many Maplers call this a mid-game crisis, where you couldn't progress through a certain boss and you're just stuck. So yes, you gotta give credits when it's due. As a Mapler myself for the past year or two, I am extremely happy and I feel really content knowing that as I was able to clear a new boss, maybe in a few months or even a few weeks, I'm not only guaranteed to be progressing at my own rate, but also receiving the satisfaction that I get from playing a Dark Souls game. And I probably don't have to mention about how satisfying it is to see, just these lines of number pops up when you deal damage to nearby enemies, right? Oh, and you know what is better? Pay to win is nowhere to be found. Everything is free, from cubes to Star Force to leveling. Nothing requires you to spend your actual hard-earned money. For me, this is 100% a plus. You just simply need to spend time tackling the learning curve that any MMORPG like Maplestory has, and you should be sailing. Sounds simple, right?
No.
Now, if it is actually that easy, then my third talking point would be irrelevant. And if everything is done right by Nexon, Maplestory might have to be voted as one of the best MMORPGs to be ever created. But I think let's give Nexon a round of applause here. From my experience, the feeling of actually learning the game, struggling through bosses, then being able to power creep through different sections of the games. Well, since you have already moved past, early game, and if you're early game and you go to mid game, you power creep through, and every week you kind of just repeat that loop. Doing that for the past, I think, 8 months has really given me a sense of satisfaction and achievement, because I've never played this game this serious before. But yeah, like seriously, after 10 years of playing this game on and off, I felt like I actually understand the game and actually playing the game. Similarly to other MMORPG titles, of course Maplestory is equipped with a daily mission system, weekly mission system, and a monthly mission system to really maximize character growth for Maplers. Many Maplers at this day and age are really familiar with the questlines that I've mentioned earlier in the video, like the infamous Arcane River questline, where you are guaranteed to gain 13,200 main stat for your character. Now, if you are new to the game and don't know how much that might be, well, let me tell you right now, it is a lot. And in fact, the arcane force that comes with it is what will determine your ability to progress through bosses as you play the game, because different bosses stayed in different region of the game. So you will need certain arcane force to be able to reach that boss. It's also important to note that the Arcane River questline is available every single day, which means you can secure your daily progression, that is, if you do the quest, right, consistently. And allegedly, numbers, things tend to change. But someone on Reddit actually has calculated the days needed for you to reach your, 13,200 main stat from the quest lines. And it takes about 335 days. Almost a year of playing Maplestory. Now keep in mind, there are still weekly bosses run you need to do on your main character and on your meals as well. So the question now is, how much time do you actually have to spend on Maplestory? Now, if you are a hardcore Maple fan, kudos to you, because I really respect people who can commit to play only one game for such a long time. But on the other hand, what if I want to enjoy other games? Can I miss a day of dailies? Or can I miss a week of not doing bosses? Well, yeah, you can. Everybody has their own choice, but the fear of missing out will actually messes with you more often than you think. Out of everything that Nexon could have done to make the game better, this is something that the devs have made it to where when you are already playing Maplestory, you will end up wanting to play more. Or in other words, not missing out on the rewards that the game gives you. It's almost like, I'm trying to come up with a word here. I mentioned previously in the video that the aspect of pay to win is no more in Maplestory, but the trade-off is actually tremendous if you really think about it. Despite everything being free, Maplers now have to put in a lot more hours in the game to fully maximize what the game brings you. And now if you already played at least once MMORPG title yourself, it is first nature that progressions equals joy. So if you're not logging in daily to claim your quests and do them, and you're not doing your weekly bossing runs, you're not doing this, that, and the third, your account will end up, as they call it, mid-game crisis, which then equals to depression. As a casual gamer myself, I like to play various types of games. I play Nintendo, Switch, I play PlayStation titles, exclusive titles. I play open world games. I would like to play all the games that I can, as a gamer. And I think a lot of people want to do that too. But ever since I play Maplestory, I can't seem to find time to even play other games. And it gets worse. Every time I turn on my computer, it's first nature that I log into Steam and click play Maplestory. The small commitment of a childhood game have slowly turned into an ending loop of 2D side-scrolling addiction. So do you remember the thing that I mentioned earlier in this video about unskippable story dialogues or whatever? Well, there's something worse. Now, if I remember correctly, these same error messages that has popped up ever since the 2000s, which is when I first touch the game, I think. As an MMORPG, how you support your players as well, the game player community really decides whether you are going to be successful or not. Now, of course, I know how Nexon has treated their players as a company. A lot of allegations have been thrown around saying that Nexon does not care about their player base. They do not want the players to have an enjoyable time playing the game that they love and cherish for more than a decade. Tons and tons of dramas revolving around the directors and their questionable decisions, but for me, I think it's not an excuse just to further put the game down in the dumps. It is about year 21 of Maplestory being released as the title itself, but until this day, crashes, weird error messages, or sometimes even quest errors. Like honestly, this baffles me, how a game that has been in the market for so many years still have like little bugs like this, like little just really simple errors. And I think if they were taking matters in their hands seriously, the whole team could have just fixed this really easily. I know I'm not a developer myself, but you know, making $2.5 billion a year, you know, won't cut you some slacks. I myself have run into a case like this, where I guess the login screen of Maplestory didn't log you out completely. So the game kept telling me like, oh, hey, this account has been logged in already, so you can't log in. So I end up having to wait for a whole 24 hours so I can log back in. Another thing that pisses me off is whenever the game gets an update, no matter how big it is, it seems like Nexon game engine is so outdated that every time there's an update, devs have to release a note filled with what's called known issues for that specific patch of the game. Like how hard it is just to really polish the update before handing to the gamers. It's fine. It's fine. We can wait. You know, if it is, we can wait 1 to 2 days. We can miss our dailies if you can compensate that. But then to make us wait and then still having bugs popping up, channel crashes, not being able to log in the game, there should be no excuse, okay? Zero excuse. If you are statistically making almost $3 billion a year, do you know how much that is? At the end of the day, I love Maplestory myself. I still remember when I was a kid creating my first Thief class Explorer. Despite not knowing anything about the game, I still had fun, man. And I still was having a lot of fun, but it's just small things like this. I really want to support you, Nexon, but you keep pushing me away. So, all in all, Maplestory is a great MMORPG game, in my opinion. There's a reason why a 22-year-old side-scrolling 2D game still lasts to this day. But sadly, with the state of the game right now, and it hurts me to say this, I don't think Maplestory really worth your time. The overcommitment aspect of the game and the bugs, different types of allegations of the company, you know, just really small things that really kills it for me. As a gamer, I want to enjoy other games, hang out with my wife, touch grass every now and then. But when you have to log in a game daily to actually be able to have fun, and I slowly begins to notice a decline in my life balance. I feel like I'm missing out on a lot of things around me. So there you guys have it. If you guys like the video, subscribe so I can get a new mic. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. I have dailies to do.